I'm going to open up this panel for questions from the audience, if you have any. And I think there may be mics available for anyone who wants to. Bill.
Thank you, Mari. Thank you all. It's been a great panel and very insightful. I'm Bill Haley from Family Foundations. This is a question for Dr. Green. We are your partner at Family Foundations on the West Side because we provide the mental health counseling in the full-service school program. And at the beginning of the pandemic, I know that you were facing headwinds, not just from the people that work for you, but also from the people for whom you work. And it wasn't always that easy because I know 40% of you live in Florida, so you know this already, but for those of you who don't, state and local government, I think, made it very difficult for all of us, particularly people who were frontline workers. So what I'm interested in is maybe what was the guiding star, because you had to buck the trend, and I think you showed a lot of courage in leaning into the wind when the state was exerting enormous pressure. So how did you deal with that when you're getting feedback from both sides?
For me, I went back to my values, what I believe in, why I do this work. For those of you who don't know about the state of Florida, we now have a law that says we can't mandate masks. And Duval was one of 12 districts that, even though there was an executive order from the governor that we couldn't mandate masks, we mandated masks anyway. And it really is about my faith, my belief, and I felt as the leader of this school district, I had to advocate for all of my families, regardless of what side of this issue they were on. And, you know, when you use that as your guiding star, people will respect your decision, even though the feedback you're getting may be varied. It was comforting to me to know that I was doing everything possible to keep my employees safe and ultimately our children safe. When we opened up brick and mortar for the 21-22 school year, before school started, I had lost 10 employees to COVID, and none of them were vaccinated. And so from that, it was going to be my mission that I will not be the reason that people don't have access who work for Duval County Public Schools. So even though we still hear feedback about vaccines and masks, we can't mandate it, but we highly encourage it. We make sure that our policy is set that thou shall not be any bullying, regardless of whether you're wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. And we continue to offer vaccine clinics. We're probably one of the only districts that also have take-home COVID tests. Our families, if you feel your child may have COVID, just come to school. We'll give you a take-home test. It was all about, I could not leave with an excuse. I would not be able to face any one of my families and then say, you know, you could have. Well, not only did we could have, we did. And, you know, we've only lost one student this entire 2 years as it relates to COVID. One of our students has passed from COVID, and it was at the very beginning. And since moving in the direction against the state, from that point, we've not lost another employee. I mean, we opened up with losing 10 employees, and, you know, writing to my staff and telling them how hard this was for me also gave me an opportunity they gave me feedback. I wrote letters to my staff every week. And every week I would talk about, you know, this is what I faced this week. And the feedback I would get is, thank you, because I'm feeling the same way. So it must be okay if the superintendent is feeling that way as well. then I don't feel like I'm out here on an island alone. And so it really wasn't me being so big and bold and our board being big and bold. It was I over-communicated and I got feedback, and that feedback was affirming and confirming what we were doing and that we needed to keep moving in that direction.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Portrait and Courage. Over there in the
Hello.
orange.
Good morning. My name is Sanjay Fernandez. I'm from Colombia, and my organization is called Soul Colombia. And I had a question which is for all of you, but I'm going to use Dr. Green's example to explain it. And I have two questions. One is the relationship in terms of scale when you work on feedback. No, because one thing is you have 130,000 kids, and it's like, okay, a survey, because to be able to talk to 130,000 families, I need a survey. But then the dialogue of why you can't come in pajama to school is like no, you can't have a conversation of 130,000. Well, you can try, but it's not so simple. So how do you handle the stuff of scale with feedback? No, because in the end, you would really like to have the dialogue, but having a dialogue for thousands of people is tough. And my second question has to do with, I think in 2020, everybody was up for new stuff, no? Like, I'll answer a survey because I'm in a really strange situation, but I really think the crisis came in, at least for us in Colombia, came in 2021. Because everything was like, okay, we're fed up of this. Before I would answer your survey, or before I would be willing to tell you how I feel, now I'm fed up of you asking me how I'm feeling. And the real crisis came in 2021 because everybody wanted to go back to 2019, no? Well, okay, this is done, but let's get out of this. So really, their feedback kind of became annoying, no? People were like, leave me alone. This is really tough for me already. Stop asking me if I'm okay. I'm not okay. That was kind of what I was feeling. So how would you take, like, because one thing is where you start feedback, and then is where you have to end up with feedback. So those are my two questions. I know they're weird.
The way we take it to scale is we utilize many forms of communication. So I talked about having these forums with the students where we virtually were meeting with them. I also went on radio stations. I went on newscasts. That's what they would want to talk about. And so we knew that our students were hearing us because we started encouraging the school newspaper. Hey, put an article in your school newspaper about dress code, and do op-eds trying to, I wanted them to express themselves because for them, that was sort of therapeutic for them. Just keep talking about it, keep talking about it. Even though I think many of them knew she's not going to, cave to this and let us start wearing pajamas. So then we did do something unique. We encouraged the high school principals, hey, why don't you have a one dress down day? I mean, you really put the criteria out there, and pajama pants can be one. And some of our high schools did it. And you know what? We haven't talked about dress code since. So it is constantly, it's painful. I do want to let you know, because I was at the point, okay, I'm tired of hearing about this. I'm tired, but keep talking to them, keep talking to them. And so we finally just kept putting our heads together and said, give them a day to wear this. And we really haven't talked about dress code since that dress down day, and letting them come express themselves. I'm sure my high school principals, were thinking, you can owe me for this, Dr. Green. Somewhere down the line, I'm pretty sure I'm going to come back and talk to you, because they had to do dress checks for every single student coming into the school that day, making sure pajamas were appropriate pajamas.
The life of
So
a
you
school
have to
teacher.
utilize community, television, radio, Like I said, having strong partnerships with nonprofits who can also share your message. We have an organization here called Jacksonville Public Education Fund that we partner with, and they share our message with their constituents. So you really need to get the community engaged and other people sharing the message and making sure that really it's just constantly over-communicating.
Thank you, Dr. Green. And if you want to talk to JPEF, they're here too. Ariadna, you had the last word.
Yeah, I want to be very brief. I think that also partnerships are crucial. Like a lot of time, like staff cannot put feedback tools in place. So having a feedback culture is important, but also collaborations. For example, we did a massive survey with the University of Puerto Rico with some professors after the pandemic. That's the legal empowerment study that it's also available in English, and I can share it with you. We also did a partnership with a group of activists called Defend Puerto Rico, and we got Open Society Foundations, for example, to fund that project, so they could help us with the storytelling pieces and put them like in video. So I think that partnerships is important, and also the fact that the feedback that you took maybe 5 years ago, 3 years ago, can still be useful if we find ways to make it, to update it with the actual experiences on the ground. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's time to shift gears, but I would like to get your help in thanking Melanie, Dr. Green, and Ariadna